Today's video is sponsored by Audible, and you guys know that I love Audible. It's one of my favorite services around. And if you don't believe me, check the last sponsored Audible video I did. It was on the 24th of July, and since then I've somehow managed to accrue almost an entire another day of listen time. Audible is great because not only does it have audio originals and podcasts, but also thousands upon thousands of audiobooks, including pretty much every Star Wars Legends and canon novel. The material for today's video comes largely from Darth Bane, Path of Destruction, so I'm going to recommend that you guys check that out because the entire book, unabridged, is on Audible, with a great narrator and, of course, the full Star Wars musical experience. Right now, if you visit audible.com/EckhartsLadder or text EckhartsLadder to 500-500, you will get a free month of Audible. That includes one free audiobook and access Audible originals, news, guided wellness programs, and more. If you've got an Audible subscription and you don't enjoy the book that you selected, you can return it and you'll get your credit returned. And if you don't use your credit for a given month, it will roll over so you can use it in the future. Anyway, I wholeheartedly recommend Audible, and I want to thank them for sponsoring today's video. You can support them and me by checking the links down in the description or texting EckhartsLadder to 500-500. Alright, so on the topic of Darth Bane, today we will be talking about the most brutal battles fought between the Jedi and the Sith. And I do say battles, although technically we are talking about one really prolonged engagement, and that is the 7 battles of Ruusan. Alright, so let's cover a little bit of history first. 3,000 years after the era of Revan and Malak and the Jedi Civil War, the galaxy was again engulfed by conflict as the new Sith Wars raged across the galaxy. The new Sith Wars saw the Jedi allied with the Republic fighting against the Sith Empire, which was made up not only of a traditional military, but also the Brotherhood of Darkness. The Brotherhood of Darkness was a radical departure for the Sith. If you want to learn more about this, I've done an entire video detailing every era of the Sith, but essentially, the Brotherhood of Darkness was the Sith's attempt at making an equal ruling order. Every Sith master in theory was equal with one another, although in practice the Brotherhood was led by Lord Khan, and this was mostly meant as a way to stop Sith infighting, because in the past, the Sith not only had to fight the Jedi and the Republic in wars, but also themselves, because eventually they would splinter apart and devolve into infighting. The new Sith Wars would be capped off by a series of 7 absolutely brutal engagements at the relatively ordinary planet of Rusan. And I'm not exaggerating when I say brutality, or when I say that these were the most brutal battles fought between the Jedi and the Sith. We'll see that not only in the day-to-day combat between warriors of light and the dark side, but how the Rusan battles affected everybody, and of course, their tragic end. Anyway, Rusan itself wasn't a super important planet, as Darth Bane, Path of Destruction describes. Its main significance was its proximity to the core, not only as a jumping off point for further battles, but also a morale sense. It seemed like whoever held Rusan was the one winning the war. The first battle of Rusan is pretty tame compared to what would come, and that's because it was a space battle, very, very clean and quick compared to ground combat. There was a small Republic armada over Rusan. The Sith appeared in massive numbers, completely surprising the Republic, and led by Sith battle meditation, and the Republic really struggled to respond until a Jedi Master of their own countered with Jedi battle meditation. The Sith managed to kill the unnamed Syrian Jedi, and the morale of all Republic troops was gone. Many seemed to almost mentally shatter without the battle meditation continuing to support their minds. Sith losses were heavy, but every single Republic ship and troop at the battle was destroyed. And this use of battle meditation and the effect on morale is really important and kind of indicative of what we're going to get later on. The second battle was a traditional Republic counterattack, also in space, but perhaps also with a ground component. However, it was at the third battle where Republic strategy seriously changed. So it was well understood among the leaders of the Jedi and the Sith that the war for the galaxy would not be won by fleets or armies. Rather, it would be won by the greatest force users of each side. When it came to high-level strategy, the Sith knew that if they could destroy the Jedi, that they would be able to win the rest of the war easily, and vice versa. That's what led to the third battle of Rusan. Where the Sith had the Brotherhood of Darkness, the Jedi, under the command of the famed Lord Hoth, came together to create the Army of Light. The Army of Light wasn't made up of every Jedi in the galaxy, but it was thousands of masters and knights. The Jedi Order at this time was quite a bit more decentralized than what we get in the Star Wars prequels, and there were still many Jedi who were basically operating on their own. Anyway, the Army of Light appeared at Ruusan in very small fighter craft, passed through the Sith blockade, and managed to secure the planet on the ground. The Sith would essentially take the Republic's bait here, and they would send as many warriors to the planet as they could. The Brotherhood of Darkness, which was admittedly lesser in numbers than the Jedi Order, would appear at Ruusan, and the two factions would clash in an unforgettable months-long campaign, which would see thousands of Force-sensitive beings die. We don't know a whole lot of details about the 4th through 6th Battle of Ruusan, but the clash between good and evil was so great that massive force storms appeared and ravaged the planet's surface. The Jedi were forced to protect civilians, as the Sith would use this to their advantage, attempting to break the Jedi lines. In between these major battles, there were uncountable smaller skirmishes. Almost every day, Jedi and Sith patrols would be attacked, and even Masters would be felled in battle. By a year or two into the war, both sides were running out of combatants, so the Jedi and the Sith sent for children to help reinforce their numbers. And I'm not just talking about trainees, although yeah, trainees were sent. I'm talking about children as young as 10 sometimes. Morale for both sides was also at an absolute low. Both the Sith and the Jedi had more wounded than healthy soldiers. The Sith in particular were really only being kept together by the force effects of Lord Khan, who was helping keep their morale high. However, without his guidance, the Sith were beginning to crack in battle. However, the Jedi weren't doing so hot either. Lord Hoth was arguably falling to the dark side. There was also a small schism in the Jedi Order. Lord Farfalla had brought reinforcements, but Hoth had essentially turned them down, and they were now stuck in orbit, blockaded by the Sith fleet. There were massive firestorms ravaging the planet due to war. Civilians were being slaughtered, disease was rampant, and during the wet season, the Jedi were forced to abandon their things and retreat into the woodlands. Lord Hoth anticipated that even he would be lost to the light, and that there would never be a victory decisive enough to end the war. Well, the Sith wondered whether the 2 years of fighting had essentially made the light and the dark side one. When Darth Bane appeared, having learned the secrets of Darth Revan on Lehon, he essentially assumed command of the Brotherhood of Darkness, and looking to rid the galaxy of the Sith, who he saw as an aberration and not deserving of the title, instead hoping to implement the rule of two, Bane tricked the Sith Masters into creating a thought bomb. The Sith retreated into the mountains of Ruusan and created perhaps the most devastating weapon available to Force users. Thought bombs not only annihilated any Force-sensitive beings within their radius, but trapped their souls in essential torture for eternity. The Jedi realized what the Sith were doing, however they also realized that if they didn't destroy the Brotherhood of Darkness on Ruusan, that they would lose their chance, and that a thought bomb could be employed on a planet with far more devastating impact, one like Coruscant. So, knowing that they would die and suffer a fate far worse than death, Lord Hoth took 99 volunteers to chase the Sith and essentially force the use of their weapon, which the Sith did. The thought bomb was activated and everybody who was nearby was destroyed. The Sith Order was essentially eliminated, as were at least 100 Jedi. The Battles of Ruusan were such a tremendous event in galactic history that not only was the calendar reset and Ruusan treated as a new epoch, but both the Jedi and the Republic essentially demilitarized. The Ruusan reformations limited very seriously starship weaponry across the galaxy and decentralized the Republic's navy, while the Jedi basically placed themselves under the Republic. The Ruusan battles were incredibly disturbing and brutal, and they changed the fabric of galactic history. Not only were the 7 battles brutal, with the Force pulling at both sides, but the end of the Ruusan campaign is perhaps like no other, with souls being tortured for eternity, or at least they would have been had they not been released by Kyle Katarn. But guys, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much to Audible for sponsoring the content. I really appreciate it, guys. If you want to support the channel and Audible, you can check the link down in the description or text EckhartsLadder to 500 500. But that's all I've got for you guys. Until next time, be safe and may the Force be with you.